All right, cool. So now we're at the portion of the training where we're starting to go through warming up and building up to our numbers for squat. It just seemed like a good opportunity to take a pause and talk a little bit about squat. There was, in one of my recent videos for some heavy triples in Alaska, Devin Mejia had asked me, made a comment about my squat form and said that it looked, flawless. Thank you, Devin. And was just asking about my setup. And so I'm not exactly sure, like, the specifics of what you're asking, but I'll go through kind of a bit of my setup and talk about a little bit of it, and then hopefully maybe that'll inspire some more questions or whatever, some more dialogue between viewers and I, and then we can kind of maybe dial it in and do maybe a more specified video somewhere down the road. However, we're gonna go through and do the setup, and so we are working with Duffalo bar. And one of the things that I should point out that is probably the biggest change in my squat technique or my squat thought process in recent years is this focus on keeping my chest higher, of not allowing my chest to sink. So that's what I talk about all the time here in the garage with Nat and my other training partners. I'm talking about high chest, high chest, high chest. And what I found is that by getting the chest into an optimal position and trying to keep the chest in an optimal position, you are more optimally suited to be able to squat more proficiently. So high chest for me has been a thing that has kind of been my mantra lately, and I think that by focusing on it has really had a big impact on my squat. So that's kind of one of the things I think helps me out more recently, is trying to keep that good high chest position and not allowing that anterior tilt. Because once you start tilting forward, a lot of other things start happening and things can go wrong. But so for my setup, the way that I approach squat is the same with a little bit of weight as it is with a lot of bit of weight. Because of my size and my relative immobility, I have to go for a wide position. I'm still able to maintain my back tightness by doing it. It's just more comfortable on my shoulders and easier for me to retain a comfortable position. I also do a claw grip, right? So instead of doing a full grip where all fingers are around the bar, I go 3 fingers, and then my thumb and my pinky are underneath the bar, and that allows me to exterior rotate a little bit and save some tension on my elbows. So that's why I do that. So wide grip with the claw. First thing I do is hand position. Make sure my hands are even. Then I bring my chest to the bar, make sure that I'm center line. So now that I know I'm center line, bring myself back to be able to look at the bar, and then under the bar. And now what I'm trying to do is basically just seat my shoulders and get that bar in the notch. So in that good squat position. Then when I squat, the first thing I do is I get a nice deep breath and I get my hips directly underneath the bar and stand straight up. So big breath and stand. Step, step. So I try to basically just do a 2-step process. All right, now I'm in position, high chest, big breath. So I actually have markings on my floor, so I can look down and see that my feet are symmetrical. Because for me, maintaining symmetry is important, right? Because symmetry is balance. I don't want one foot in front of the other or whatever. So I try to make sure that my foot position is equal, and I try not to have too wide a stance. So my foot stance is really just a little bit wider than my hips. So that's just pretty much where I tend to go, and I tend to go with kind of a neutral or slightly toe out position, and that just allows me to track my knees over my toes. It allows me to open up my hips and gives me somewhere to squat to. Because if I were to have too narrow a position, there's nowhere for my hips to go really. So it allows me just enough room for my hips to be able to drop down to the pocket, so that I'm not getting in my own way, and then allows me to maintain balance. I also think about making sure I have kind of even foot pressure. So I think of three points of my foot. I think about big toe, little toe, and heel. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to externally rotate. So I'm not actually trying to slide my foot, but I'm trying to create that tension with my foot position, and that way it just provides me a little bit more hip stability. So those are things that I'm thinking about as I go about my squat setup. The breathing is super, super important. So working on your breathing will really make a big difference for your squat. Maintaining, you know, good abdominal brace and maintaining that positive, you know, high chest position, I think will keep you in a better position through the duration of the movement and allow you more mechanical advantage to be able to project strength. And then I just say probably the last thing that I'll leave you with in terms of my squat setup is really when I'm in position, I'm ready to rock. I hinge at the same time with my hips and my knees, right? So my hips start to break and my knees break at the same time. So I'm not a hips then knees. I just, everything starts moving kind of simultaneously to allow me to kind of stay in balance. So I hope, Devin, that answers the question about kind of how I go about my squat setup. If you have some more specific questions or I haven't touched on maybe something more specifically that you were looking for, or for any of you viewers out there, if this helps you, great. If there are more questions, please let me know. And you know, I'll make sure to follow up with a more specific video to get after those specific questions. All right, so the decision is to make this a video unto itself. So I want to wrap it down. As I mentioned, any other questions, please let me know. I'll make sure that I respond. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys, you know, the tips and tricks that you're looking for, or at least my thought process and how I go about things. So you got to hit me with those specific questions so I know what it is that you're looking for. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's kind of my whole squat process and what I think. I think I've touched on most of the major points and kind of how I go about doing things. I appreciate you guys. Continue to support the channel with everything that you do. Like, share, subs, the whole 9 yards. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. If you've seen a video or two and haven't subbed yet, I can't grow the channel without you. I'd love if you stuck around for a while. Remember, guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, develop your own process. Whatever works for you, it's always kind of shooter's choice to get the best mechanical advantage for the movements that you're performing. It's never going to happen if you don't get in and trying to spite. You're either going to find an excuse, you're going to find a way, and I hope that you guys continue to find the way. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace. Peace. Oh no! Wow, it was really understated today. Like, muted even. Oh, there we go.